So this is my fight breakdown for Oleksandr Gvozdyk versus David Benavidez. It was an excellent fight. I feel like Gvozdyk came out being a very aggressive. A lot of people felt like Gvozdyk was gonna get knocked out. I don't feel like he was a guy that was gonna be knocked out just because his pedigree. He didn't come there to just get a check. Came there to be a champion. Actually, felt like David Benavidez would be a guy who could take a loss in that fight. Um, a lot of people said, well, the sparring match between him and sparring ain't got nothing to do with a real fight. Especially when you're a guy like Gvozdyk, he goes into the fight a lot different with a lot different approach than he does in sparring. In sparring, he's trying to work on things. In the fight, he's trying to destroy these guys. And with a guy who's actually ended people's careers in boxing, it's kind of a big deal for fans to actually look at him as a guy who would get stopped. Oh, well, he got stopped by Benavidez. Benavidez is an excellent fighter. He's at a high level. You know what I'm saying? It's not easy for a guy like Benavidez or anybody else like Bivol to say, "Hey, I'll fight Benavidez." That's a tough challenge. That's not an easy fight for guys to have. So I definitely feel like a lot of fans are starting to catch up and get a idea. But Benavidez, he's taking the risk and he's doing a lot of things that he should. But he's got a lot of backlash in this fight, just from the way he fought the fight and his pedigree, and he had some damage around his eye. But overall, he was chasing down a bigger guy throughout the fight. He had some times throughout the fight where he had to adjust and get on the ropes and figure out some other ways to attack and make sure he didn't fall into a trap of not being good enough as far as for the scoring and everything else that goes on throughout the fight. But I feel like he did an excellent job sticking to the game plan, making sure his hooks was landing. Pretty sure he didn't. He felt like, well, I don't know if he felt like it, but him going jab for jab with Gvozdyk, it was a good idea not to, because he showed that he could do a lot more other different things than just going jab for jab. So he did an excellent job not really trying to rely on just a jab, and the way he was boxing throughout the fight, it was impressive. But Benavidez can't be looked at. His aggression for some reason isn't really calculated as far as everybody else. I've seen a lot of people just recently, like Nick Ball and other guys in different fights. They get a lot of credit for their aggression and everything else, but it seems like certain fighters get punished for their aggression. Is that because of their approach, or is it because of the way they're getting attacked and the way they're countering or not countering? Because every fighter doesn't counter immediately. They usually pick their spots and timing throughout a fight to actually counter. But a guy like Benavidez, he was picking his shots, and in the early rounds, he started fast. If people don't know, Benavidez, he doesn't start fast in a lot of fights. He usually gets to the fourth or fifth round before he starts to get his engine going. But the fact that he was moving in the first and second round, gotta give him credit for that. He stole a lot of rounds doing that. Not saying that he was stealing rounds early, but the rounds he did get, it was because he got there early fast. You know what I'm saying? As far as the spots he needed to be at, and it was at one point to where around the sixth, seventh, eighth round, I would say more so the ninth round, where Gvozdyk started to pick it up because Benavidez was already in that mode. Like he was letting it be known that, yeah, I'm going to be stuck in this situation as far as this pace and us exchanging everything as far as the whole battle. The fight didn't change from the beginning to the end. Those guys were doing some real technical things in the boxing ring. Benavidez was changing a lot of his approaches. He didn't stick to the jab much throughout the fight because he was trying to pick other ways to go around Gvozdyk's jab. But the fact that he was kind of leaning on Gvozdyk's jab, being the most dangerous punch, he was more so right about that, because that's where all the damage was coming from. The damage was coming from Gvozdyk's jab, and he was also landing some other punches, the right hooks and everything else like that. But Gvozdyk was doing an excellent job throughout the fight. And Benavidez, he was picking some real good times, especially at the end of rounds, to be aggressive and to let Gvozdyk know, because Gvozdyk would come out the next round more aggressive when Benavidez would kind of steal some rounds or dominate beginning and end of rounds, which was a good thing for him. He needs to be a fast starter. So he showed me a lot of things throughout this fight. He didn't jab as much. He didn't want to be in a position where he wasn't exchanging and letting his hands fly the way he wanted to or the way he could have. But I think he did overall. He did an excellent job. People are going to sleep on Benavidez. They're criticizing him about the performance, saying that he should possibly stay at 168 because he didn't get a knockout. I mean, that's basically ludicrous to feel like he needs a knockout to be looked at as a top component, a top contender. Gvozdyk, he was a guy who's been knocked out before, but he's a top contender. Styles make fights. Everybody doesn't fight everybody the same. And this is his first fight at 175. It doesn't matter if he's been fighting the guy before and sparring and everything like that. It doesn't really adjust like that. Can't really adjust to certain things to when you never really fought a guy with his top game plan, his main strategy. And when you seen Gvozdyk come out, like you can tell Benavidez is like, well, I never seen this side of Gvozdyk. Sparring is different from fighting under the lights. When guys is fighting under the lights, that means they're at the top of their level, top of their class. And you seen Gvozdyk, a top fighter, give Benavidez a hard time. But a lot of fighters don't like taking big fights because you get punished for that. Is Benavidez gonna be in a category to where he gets punished for taking big fights because it's close? I don't want that to be a situation that hangs around. But I feel like in the seventh, eighth round, around those times, Benavidez definitely put the pressure on him. But later on in that fight, especially with him not going 12 rounds long, he was in excellent condition, by the way, as well. Him and Gvozdyk. He was in excellent condition. I think it kind of caught up later on in the fight, but Benavidez did a good job actually showing what he was capable of. And I feel like at 175, 168, he'll be comfortable wherever he wants to go. But he's definitely gonna keep moving forward, not worried about what the fans think or the close fights. He's had close fights before, so it really doesn't matter. It's boxing. But that's all I got. Like and subscribe.